My secret, just do something that ain't nobody ever done before, but make it sound like something that's always been there forever.
Welcome to This Filipino American Life, a podcast that explores the nuanced experiences of Filipinos in the United States at iba pa. My name is Ryan Carpio, and I'm joined by my fellow hosts,
Elaine Delalis,
Joe Bernardo,
and
Mike.
Pam Pam Pam.
I had it ready.
Wow.
Producer
Why
Mike.
do you do that? We are recording again here in Las Vegas, Nevada at the For No Good Reason podcast studio. So thanks to them for hosting us and allowing us to do this here. Allowing us to pretty much set up shop here and do interviews in Las Vegas. So thank you so much. We are in downtown Las Vegas at the Emergency Arts Studio.
Correct.
So check it out if you're ever here. Hi guys.
Hi.
We're in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Hi.
I'm Joe. I'm in Las Vegas.
Yes. I'm like shuffling poker chips or like chips in Las Vegas.
That's pretty apropos for what we're going to talk about right now.
We have guests today to talk about one of my favorite topics outside of food, which is kind of like the gaming industry. So I want to just introduce a couple of guests. We have Mike and Lynn. So Mike, say hello, and Lynn. Michael Arage and
Hello.
Lynn. What should I say? Lynn Dizon? Is that okay?
Yeah, well, that's my maiden name. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for being here with us today, and today we'll talk a little bit about my passion of poker, and Mike is a professional poker player.
Your addiction to poker.
Mike's gonna attest that it's not an addiction; it's a skill that you develop through time, and it's a commitment.
Why are you putting words in his mouth?
And we'll talk to Lynn also about just the industry, and Lynn's gonna give us some insight into the slot machine and gaming industry in Las Vegas. But before we get to all
what we
that,
imagine they sound like.
and that's important too. The sound that it makes is important. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to give Mike a quick moment to tell us a little bit about who he is, and Lynn as well, and your life here in Vegas, and a little bit about your background and this Filipino American life.
Sure.
Yeah.
First off, thanks guys for having me. I'm really excited to do this. I guess I should start with I'm half Filipino, half Palestinian. My mother's Filipino.
Right on.
I was born in Toronto, Canada. And how I got to Las Vegas is actually a cool story, and that's why Lynn is here with me right now. When I was starting, I still wasn't a fully professional poker player, but I used to come every summer for maybe 3 years in a row to the World Series of Poker. And one of the years, 2009, when I came here, I was playing poker, actually a cash game. And one of my friends said, let's go out to XS tonight. I was like, I don't really want to. And end up going.
Like that.
That kind of club. Beat drop.
That's right. So I ended up going out that night after some leg pulling and happened to meet Lynn, who was here from LA on a girl's birthday weekend. And that changed my life. We met, hit it off, and I went back. She came, I was here for another probably month in Vegas. She came out a couple more times to visit me, and eventually we hit it off. And
met at the club.
That's right. It can happen.
Lynn, do you agree with this story?
She's like, no.
No, it's actually really funny because at the time neither of us were living here. We ended up meeting each other here, and now
We're here. Yeah.
we're
That's
here,
so
and our
awesome.
families here. We've started our family and started our foundation here. So
Do you have anniversaries at Access?
We do once in a while pass by. No, we pass by it and just take a picture of it. And we just had a baby, a 1-year-old, and we were had family visit. Thank you. And we said, we have to take a picture with the stroller in front of XS
Yes!
now.
So funny. Yeah.
You should like fist pump the baby.
Yeah. So, anyways, we met, hit it off, and I just went back to Toronto and I said to my family, this is the girl I got to be with, and moved to LA with her. And that's when I actually, because I couldn't work legally in the U.S., I said, "This is the
that
time.
little thing.
This is the time to play poker professionally." So,
Right on.
yeah.
So I'm gonna, if by the way, I've just a little caveat. If I get a little like wonky when it comes to like poker terms and stuff, and Michael and I are in this whole thing, just
Our own little
stop me.
world.
Yeah, because I have so many questions. But before we get,
And we're going to be learning so much about poker right now.
well, I wanted to give us a little bit of background about just the, at least my experiences in the poker industry, and then maybe Mike can weigh in on. In the early 2000s, there was like this big poker boom, and a lot of people were playing cards, largely due to popular movies like Rounders, and also the way they started broadcasting games. And it became super interesting. But I know there's a lot of Filipinos out there who've learned or know poker early on. You've seen versions of it in Pusoy Dos, but you've always played it, but not necessarily the Texas Hold'em style. And it became really accessible. You can play with 10 people as opposed to 5 people with you're playing 7 card start, 5 card draw, whatever it is. So the boom happened, and I got interested in poker. And there was a part of my life where I was like, man, I wanted to be a professional. Of course, saying that,
Pipe dreams.
right, it was a pipe dream. It didn't really mean anything because I want to get to my question is like, when did you get started in that? Were you part of that boom? Were you part of the energy? And also like understanding kind of like the pitfalls and the nuances of being a professional poker player.
Sure. Well, being Filipino, I think you can go both ways, extreme both ways. Either your family is really into gambling or you're against gambling. I don't think there's really an in between.
That's true.
It's
right?
true. Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes for my Arab side as well. It's like both ways. But with the Filipino influence, when you go to parties growing up, there's like bingo going on. There's in between. There's all kinds
What's
of
in
stuff.
between?
It's like Red Dog.
What's red
It's
dog?
also known as Red Dog.
It's when you go in between the
I knew it.
in between the titas to get to the dinner table.
It's just a card game where you match like a card. If it goes in between 2 cards, you win a pot.
That's
And
right.
That's what it is.
That
It's
sounds like the best game ever. I want
Yeah,
to play it.
Very simple, easy to learn.
yeah, very
You
easy
can
to
play
learn.
with your nephew to your grandma,
Exactly.
to your lolo.
Yeah.
So so it's always been a part of my life, and I guess the poker aspect is I started going to the casino playing blackjack. There was
we're the
no
same.
poker really involved. I mean, offered at the time in the casinos in the Toronto area, and then the poker boom happened, and I started watching it on TV, and I was like, okay, I need to find poker what casino offers it. I started playing on a game on like a CD-ROM on my computer to like learn the basics of poker, and once I kind of figured out it was limit poker.
Right.
Now we're already
know.
getting technical, but
What?
so anyways, I went to the casino and I'm like, this is boring. Like this is really boring. I'd rather play blackjack. I can't really win any real money and have to sit here for hours and hours and hours. So I didn't really get excited about it right away, but the more I learned and the more books I read about it, the strategy that was involved, this is where it transfers from gambling to really being a skill-based game. And I've always loved games. I'm very competitive and felt that this is something that I could learn and be really good at. So the studying aspect came really a big part of my life. While I was working, I'd be like, because I worked in like an outside sales kind of position where I'd be on the road all the time. And when I'm done my meetings, I was like, okay, straight to the casino now. And play
For the other
poker,
work.
where I was making more money
Right.
than I was at my own job.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. So what are these skills that I need to learn?
Math is a big one.
Oh, okay. I'm done.
She quit her job already.
That's fine.
Yeah, so as I started to play more and put more hours in, I'm like, oh, I can really win at this game. My parents, I would always tell my parents, okay, I think I could do this full time. And they were like, no, you're not doing this full time.
I would like to know what that experience felt like. Going, Mom, Dad, immigrant parents that I have, I'm going to play poker for the rest of my life.
It wasn't a good conversation, but the good thing is that I already had my degrees, and if
that always helps, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you have that something to fall back on. And I think you asked a question earlier when we were off air on email, but about like would you recommend this to anyone? I think having an education is number one, so that you can fall back on it. Right. Because it's a tough life. It's a hard way to make an easy living, as they say. Right. Anyways, but going back, I think, so I just start playing more, and then I proved to my parents after showing my record to them that I could win at this game. And then they understood more, especially my dad. Like, he understood. And when I met Lynn, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go for it now. And like I said, because I couldn't work legally, I had to earn money some way, and this was the way to do it. So it was a kind of push forward.
What an excuse to get into gambling.
It's not gambling.
I mean, what an excuse to get into poker.
So I think a lot of folks know that the popular tournament style of poker and all that. So have you played tournaments, and what kind of tournaments are we looking at? What kind of money are we talking about when you're a professional poker player?
Ryan is doing exploratory work for himself right now.
I see that. So I'm mainly a cash game player, but I always play tournaments during this World Series. There's just the fields are really large and the prize pools are big, and there's a lot of money to be won. But as a, say, 9 to 5, my real job is a cash game player.
What does that mean, cash game player?
Okay, so a cash game versus a tournament. I'll start with a tournament. A tournament is like you pay an entry fee.
Yeah.
Anywhere from $300 up to $10,000.
Okay.
You get a set number of chips, and even though you're just playing the players at your table, you're playing against the entire field.
Oh, so like the person who has the most chips then
at
wins.
The end. Exactly.
Okay.
So when you lose your chips, you're out.
done.
Oh.
It dwindles down.
God.
A cash game is you buy in with real money, say $500 to $1,000 to $2,000. Every chip on your in front of you is your money.
Oh.
So whatever chips you win is real money.
That's you.
Yeah, and you can leave at any time.
Yeah.
So you can play anywhere from 10 minutes all the way to 24 hours.
Right. Wow.
Whereas a tournament, they have a set
time
where they dwindle down to the one person.
Yes, so they're very different games, and I know there's a lot of professionals, of course, who are. I think I would venture to guess there's more professional cash game players than there are tournaments. Tournaments come and go. Like there's now daily tournaments, but back then you almost had to wait, right? You almost had to wait till the World Series or a certain tournament comes into tournament series come into a casino. So, are you comfortable telling us what stakes you play?
Sure. So regularly I play 2-5, but when the summer comes along, I'll play 5-10.
Okay.
What does that mean?
The blinds are
blinds. Okay. Yeah.
So each bet is like $2, $5 or $5, $10.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like 2-5 is like $250, and I'm like, whoa.
So
Holy cow.
even though like it's Ryan explained it, $2, $5, the buy-ins, like you could put $1,000 on the table, so there could be up to $10,000 to $15,000 on the table.
Wow.
And then 5-10, there could be up to $50,000 on the table.
Oh my
to
God,
be won.
these are numbers that are too much for my blood.
So another good way to explain it is a cash game is kind of like your day job, and a tournament that's the one that pays the bills.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whereas a tournament, because the luck or the variance is very high, you could do everything right and get knocked out and not make any money.
Yeah.
And the percentage of like the people that make money in a tournament is about 10% of the field.
Oh, wow.
So it's very hard to make money, but you're trying to get that big score to like have life-changing money.
Right.
So
That's
that's
like-
what the tournament is.
It's like being an actor, how like everyone in LA is trying to do it,
Sure.
but only like 2% of
That's
the
right.
actual acting population make
And
real money.
And on the side, they're always trying to take these little
Other
gigs.
things. Yeah. Interesting.
So what was? I don't know if you can answer this, but what was the largest jackpot you've ever won?
Do you want to correct him, Ryan?
Oh,
The
sorry.
largest, the largest tournament winning. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan.
Sorry, I'm like, no jackpot.
So a couple of years ago, I played the main event for the first time, which is the World Series main event, World Series of Poker's at 10,000 buy-in, and I actually finished 140 something out of close to 7,000.
Oh wow!
First place was 10 million that year, so I was 140 people away from 10 million.
Oh my god! That's not that many people.
Lynn could not sleep that whole week. But,
Not me, and I don't think anybody in our family.
yeah.
I would have been awake as well.
Yeah, so it was like I made it to the 6th day of like a 8-day tournament. But that one was 55,000.
At 140, you got 55,000.
Yeah.
Wow, Ryan, you need to get in.
I know, I'm trying.
What place were you, Ryan? when
Hey,
you played?
I only play like home games, and I'm usually first because I play with.
Because you're the best player.
Out of 7,000, he was number 8,000.
7,001.
Thanks. No. Yeah. So, just going back a little bit to like your, kind of the lifestyle. I kind of want to get into Lynn now. When you met Michael, did you understand what that would be like? What a professional poker player's life is like? Is it stressful? Is it like?
Yeah, I mean, when we met, I knew poker, and I had seen all those, tournaments on ESPN before. I knew the game, but I had never met anybody that did that professionally. So when we met, he said, "This is what I do," and he was very upfront about it. And he, in that way, I could respect his honesty.
Good on you, bro.
There was no secrets. This is what I do, and if I don't feel like this could fit into my life, then it wasn't going to work out. And for me, I really felt like he was the one for me. Like, he went back and told his family that, and I felt exactly the same way. And I really didn't know what I was getting myself. You know what I mean? And I joke around with people at work, like, I'm the one that has the regular 9 to 5. I go to work and I come back, and Mike gets to go and do this stuff. And everybody thinks Mike's life is like perfect. You know what I mean? Like, he has it made. Your wife works 9 to 5 and you get to go play poker. But really, I honestly think when Mike goes to play, even if he doesn't go for 8 hours, he's probably working a lot more than I ever could in 8 hours. Right. So
Because she's just socializing at work.
well, I work in marketing. That's what we do.
On Facebook.
Yeah. I run our Facebook account, that's what I do all day. So
because you get to like go home and like the work in terms of like, I'm sure it is like labor intensive mentally, but for you, when you are playing poker, that is labor intensive on a different level because apparently there's math involved.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean,
especially in a tournament, like I come back from a 12 or 13-hour day and your head is just aching because there's so many things you have to be aware of and be focused to be successful. So
yeah.
Is there a stigma maybe in your family or just in general about being a professional player?
So one of the big things I was worried about was not really my family, because I got over that hump, was when I met Lynn, is now them understanding what I do. Because there is still that stigma of like, you're a gambler, or like, it's just like that sleazy kind of
undergroundish.
Yeah. And it's like, I think that, I mean, there's still aspects of that, but I think the way you present it, the way you yourself treat it, if you treat it as a business and you can explain it to people, family, in a good way that they can understand, then I think they can respect you. And I think there's no more kind of validation than the fact that, we were living a good life, and we're comfortable and we're not like struggling or anything like that. So that's like the ultimate validation from family, is like, oh, okay, you're okay.
You have a house, you have a car, kids.
Exactly.
Go to church every Sunday.
I mean, you're putting it on.
I don't know about that one. That's a different topic.
I'm like, let's
Put
move
chips
on.
in the collection plate.
I wonder if that happens.
It happens.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Get
There's
out of here.
Dude,
Because you've done it.
No, not personally, but I've seen chips in there, and I know that priests have taken the thing to be cashed out.
To cash it out?
Yeah.
Wow.
You're blowing my
sure.
mind right now. Okay, let's go back
It's
to
Vegas. Talking a little bit more about the kind of like industry poker wise, and then we'll get into what Lynn does. So, Las Vegas is of course known as, the city where gambling is legal, and in Los Angeles, there's a lot of poker card rooms and stuff, but most casinos you have to be like on Indian land or something. So the Las Vegas poker industry I know it went through its certain boom. How is it now? Is it still the same? Is it, are there better players? Is it still sort of lucrative, or is it like kind of like plateauing in your opinion?
A lot of people like of my social circle, my friends involved in poker say, "Oh, it's dying." But I don't think that. It's nowhere near what it used to be. In terms of the the money maker effect and when poker first went crazy, but and I would say the skill level of the average player is definitely higher. They know there's a lot more material out there online, videos, books, everything that you as a recreational player, if you really wanted to learn about poker, you can now versus back in 2006. But I think at the levels at like 2.5, 5.10, there's still a lot of money to be to be made. As you get higher stakes, the 10-20 game, which is like the highest game you can play, it's probably 7 of the 8 players at the table.
Right.
So it's in terms of like getting really into the high stakes, I think it's a dying game. Right. And then also the fact that online poker is banned in the U.S. Has hurt it a lot, because that was the kind of the entry point for a lot of recreational players.
Oh, that's right. That happened in like
2011, I believe.
Yeah, because I think I had a bunch of friends who their main income was online poker. And then the moment that it became illegal, it was like, oh, now I need to like get like another job.
That's right.
Because they were working like 8 to 5 at an office job, but like that was just to be the office job, like to tell their parents like I'm not just rotting away in my back room playing poker.
That's right.
But then like at night, that is what they were grinding out. And I used to be like, how much money are you really making playing poker? And I had a friend who used to tell me, I make at least $1,500 a week.
Yeah.
That's
you
true.
can make a lot of money
A week.
online.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's online.
why are you working? Like, well, what's the point? And then it became illegal. And then it's like, okay, well now I have to like have like another 5 jobs to like make up that.
Yeah, and talking about what Ryan said about how the Las Vegas poker scene is, after 2011, a lot of online players who could now not play online anymore said, well, I don't want to get a real job. I'll move to Las Vegas and play live poker. Oh. Which hurt the pool of players. Now the pool of players' talent level has increased. So those guys are now adjusting to playing live poker, and it's taking a seat away from a rec player.
Right.
So that's what made it harder. Whereas if they just stayed online, then leave the live players to the other guys.
Yeah.
So, is it true that you can? It doesn't matter what cards you're dealt. Is that you could just read somebody's face, and that's how you can win?
So, if you watch a lot of poker in movies, and this like in 007 or Rounders is a good representation, but still it's a little bit over the top just for entertainment purposes. But a lot of my like physical tells, there aren't really too many unless you have a real guy who's like twitches or something every time he has a good hand or does certain things.
Or twists an Oreo.
That's right.
Which doesn't happen, by the way.
Is that what happened in Rounders?
Yeah.
Teddy KGB.
What's the line, guys?
On the gambling episode, I heard you reciting lines. I think
Do the line.
I think it went past people. I don't even know.
Do
I
it.
will splash the pot
He did it.
whenever the fuck I please.
What's the one?
Pays that man his money.
We did it in unison.
Yeah. You can replace that with the Filipino guy and it'll be something.
Wait, do it in a Filipino accent.
Paid that man his money.
There you go. Oh man.
We should totally make a Rounder spoof.
Totally,
Just
yeah.
Filipinos. Totally happen.
So back to your question, like on physical tells and trying to read a guy, it doesn't happen too much unless, again, like I said, it's over the top, obvious. So you're going to like, you're following betting patterns, reading the board properly.
Wow.
Things like that, which they can give off tells like that. Like sometimes people will bet a small amount when they have something and a big amount when they don't.
Yeah.
And they'll change it based on those type of things, on their how strong their holding is, so you can pick up on those type of things rather than twitches and faces.
And
things
that's like
that.
time. Like you're playing
Experience.
this person for like
That's right.
5 hours at a time, or it's someone that you've played in a previous tournament, so like
That's
this
right.
is their pattern.
So yeah, going every day to the Bellagio or the Wynn or Aria or whatever, you're gonna end up playing with
The same
regular people a lot of the time. So you'll have a history with them. So people try to base what they do in a certain hand against an opponent who they have history with.
Yeah.
They're like, I know you did this in
a
this
previous
particular
game.
spot.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna change it based on history.
Yeah.
So someone from the outside, if we had like TV cameras there and you were looking like, why are you guys doing this in this hand? But
Yeah.
a history has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
Yeah, it sounds like it because it's
Because
like you have to
you're
have a
always thinking.
database of players and then of what their patterns are, and then in addition to that, you're having percentages on like what the hands are
That's
like
right.
out there.
So my dad plays recreationally, and he's a cannon, like just purely aggressive. But when he tries to tell me a hand, I tell him like, you can't leave out all the details. I want to know all the
Right.
details of the hand so I can help you.
Right.
Like try to give you advice.
Right.
And that's one thing I tell to other guys too, is that, talking about having databases of players,
Yeah.
you need to know every detail of the hand to try to improve so you don't make the same mistakes the
Yeah.
next time.
So even like the way you describe for folks who are like beginning, if I was a beginning player and I would go, hey Mike, help me out with this hand. I had this blah blah blah, and then this guy did this. What do I do?
I can't help you.
Yeah, nobody can really help
Because you need to know what other cards are out
So
there.
not even that. You need to know, well, who is this player? Where is he sitting? Is he old?
That's
Is
right.
he young?
What
Is he
ethnicity
Asian?
is he?
No, I'm not kidding. Like you think about all of these things. Have you played him before? So all those details make up a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I want people to kind of get and understand like, I don't gamble, I play poker.
Yeah.
And part of that is
It's like a study of people.
it is.
really.
It is. And so when you ask that question, it is sometimes not just about the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it was just about the cards, go play blackjack.
That's
and,
right.
And face up.
So is there race involved?
Race in terms of
Like
How you
people's
interpret
ethnicity
it?
and stuff
yeah.
like that?
So if I've never played against someone, and I see an old white guy, an old Filipino guy, a young Middle Eastern guy, I'm going to stereotype them.
As to
Based-
how they play?
Yeah, because they usually default to a certain type of player.
So let us go through these. I want to know.
If I
Just at least
see-
Filipino.
If I see old Filipino guy at the table,
Yeah.
I think, should we say fish?
Yeah, you could say that.
Fish is a bad player.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like he's going to be the mark. He's the spot.
Yeah.
That's just what I default to until I see something different that tells me, no, he knows
Right.
how to play.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I want to play with that guy. I want to play with that
That's
guy.
totally me.
Yeah.
That's me too. At the blackjack table. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Younger Asian guy, probably pretty good. Young white kid, pretty good. A guy with a hoodie on and sunglasses,
Headphones.
thinks he's good.
Yeah. Yes. Anybody
they
who's
saw
wearing
it on
anybody who's
TV?
wearing sunglasses, anybody who's wearing sunglasses at a table, I'm like, why are you doing this?
I'm like, you're not on TV. I know I saw that on World Series of Poker.
But
Yeah.
you know,
Wow,
some
that's
people want to
fascinating.
act. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's all like a really a fascinating thing.
But Ryan, don't you think that like a lot of times they fit that profile?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you see them start playing.
And the thing is, you all in that industry, you almost have to do the profiling. It's part of your job as a poker player. Like kind of what Mike said is like unless they tell you something different, you have to start creating a profile. Everything from clothes, how they handle chips, how they breathe, everything
That's
like
right.
that. So it's kind of a lot. So that's why I'm like so excited about talk about this. But I know we want to get through. I have a couple questions about just the industry outside of the States. I know
Macau
is now becoming kind of like a Las Vegas of
China.
China,
Asia.
and Manila actually. Have you been to the Philippines?
So I haven't had the chance, unfortunately, to go yet. But my parents go back every couple years, and most recently, I think they were there last January. And my dad, like I said, loves
Yeah.
to play, and Solaire is one casino and Resorts World where poker is booming.
Yeah.
And also when you mentioned Macau, a lot of the real high stakes guys are moving the big game from Macau to Manila.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the spot. I think what happened was, and don't quote me on this, but I think this is what
We're
happened.
just recording it on the podcast.
We're just chit chatting.
We're just chit-chatting. No one's going to hear it.
I think the Chinese government kind of like didn't want locals to be spending a lot of their money at the
at
the Macau casinos
Got it.
because of money laundering and
Yeah.
things like that. So they're now the big high rollers are taking their money outside
Philippines?
and they're going to the Philippines to play.
Going back to the industry, I wanted to bring Lynn into the fold. Are you able to tell us where you work, or what kind of work you do or marketing job you do?
Yeah, so I work for a company called IGT, which stands for International Game Technology. And they create, manufacture, pull all the content for a lot of the slot machines that you'll see on the casino floor, like all over the world. So if you've seen Wheel of Fortune, if
I
you've
love that one.
seen anything video poker related, more than likely it's going to come from IGT. So
Nice.
I worked in their marketing department for just over 6 years now. So
Is
since we've kind of been here, I've been working there. So
Is one of your machines the cash one that looks like Wheel of Fortune, but it's just dollars?
no,
Probably not.
that's not the one. Yeah,
That one
the
doesn't
table
pay
game,
me
right?
very much.
That's the table
I
game.
like
Yes.
it.
No. But yeah, so I've been working in marketing for them for a while, and it's a super fascinating industry. It's always changing, and there's tons of stuff that there's always something different that's happening within the gaming industry. So
How do you sell like the themes to different casinos? Like,
yeah, so we work with different movie studios, TV studios, and we buy a license from them to
And
create
it's
a game.
limited, right? Because that's why, for a short while, I think I was playing a Back to the Future slot machine.
And that's IGT's.
that
Thank you.
I love that machine.
Yeah.
And I would go to the Cosmo because I knew exactly where it was at the Cosmo.
Yep.
And then I went back and I'm like, it's not here. What happened? What happened to the machine? It's gone.
Yeah,
They get retired, huh?
yeah,
Because
so
the licensing agreement, right? It's only
Yeah.
for a limited time.
So there's a licensing agreement that's part of it, and then also, sometimes you might really like it, but the average slot player that's out there doesn't really like it. So that's the struggle that
they really
people
love
that
Willy Wonka then.
Yeah.
And they really love Jurassic Park.
Yes, they love Jurassic Park. They love that Buffalo game that's out there.
I love the
You know
Buffalo
what I mean?
game.
So-
Oh, the Buffalo game is the best.
I remember I saw Monsters, like the TV show
Oh,
The
yeah.
Monsters.
Yep.
Yeah, I hate that one. That always killed me.
I will tell you though, my marketing speak for this time is the Wheel of Fortune will pay out more often than other casino games. So,
Is that why it's always full of
It's
little old
always
ladies
full.
and they never
Yes.
leave?
Yes.
Sometimes
yes.
playing two machines?
Yes.
Greedy little bitch.
So do you do they do research like
Yeah.
what kind of themes register with Gambler?
So there's a lot of testing that's done with like
Gamers,
focus
not
groups.
gamblers.
I'm sorry, gamers.
Yeah, and then sometimes they actually put it on a floor, on a casino floor, and see how well it does.
Wow.
And then based on that performance, and for instance, like an MGM has multiple properties. They'll test it in one property. If it does really well, then all the properties will get it, right? So, yeah.
So it's not like it. Well, is it true like in Ocean's 11 when they were like Branson is where games go to die? I was like, is that real? Do they really say? Well, there was one slot machine that I loved, and it was called Tiki T, and it paid out all the time, and it was always packed. And now it's like limited. So I'm like, oh, this is on its way. Like no one's going to have this machine. And now when I go to Morongo, there's only like a bank of 5. So really 10 because they're back to back.
Yeah.
And they're always taken. And I'm
Yeah.
like, these titas know that that's the machine and
Yeah.
there's no more of them.
Yeah. And I think they always try to like bring new ones out there.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of hard if, the second time you go out there, it's probably maybe in
Exactly.
a different place too.
Yeah.
So,
Because I have my favorites. So Tiki T was my favorite. That was the first machine where I won $500 and it made me love gambling. And then,
Got the bug.
got the bug. Buffalo. Well, first there was that wolf one. We were playing the wolf one for a while.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo took the place of all the wolf games.
Yep.
So it's hard to find wolf, but Buffalo is everywhere.
Yes. Buffalo isn't ours, but it's super popular.
Yeah, and that Cash Money one is the new one. Like it's like a Wheel of Fortune, but it's like
Bootleg.
Yep, bootleg. Yep.
Is there one that maybe specifically Filipinos are attracted to?
The one that cashes out. Wheel of Fortune.
You know what's funny? I think that and I think we've seen this true because Mike's mom loves slot machines. But the ones that have a little bit of like an Asian theme are also very popular with Filipinos. But the ones that have like the most graphics and the most stuff flying around, I mean, like I don't know why, but it's just one of those.
It's a video game for senior citizens. That's
It
what
totally
is.
is.
It is.
Yeah.
There's one called like Twin Dragon that I've seen.
Yes,
that
yes.
was really popular. And it's like there's Mike and I were driving once and we saw like Konami on like the 215. And I was like,
Contra?
why do they have it? And I realized the slot machines are made by Konami.
Yes.
Like there's a Chinese game that I play sometimes on Facebook. And when I was playing slot machines on Facebook, and it was a Konami game.
Yeah.
There's a code for that too.
Up.
Up, down, left, right.
That's right.
Mike just said the same thing.
Wow,
30 lives.
You're revealing how much gambling you were into right now by knowing every single machine that.
I know, seriously. I'm kind of impressed by like your knowledge of the machine theme.
It's a little disturbing.
What? I've also played the Corgi game because it was really cute. It didn't pay out. Dolly Parton doesn't pay out either, but she sings to you.
If you had to do a Filipino themed slot machine, what would it be?
Aswang.
Awesome.
I think you'd have
They
to.
fly at you.
I think you'd have to like sing a karaoke song, like maybe like
that would be the
balls.
best.
Like sing with me kind of song with like a bouncing ball. Dude, it would totally sell. You
That
can
would
have
be
that one,
so
but
good.
Or
10% for the podcast. But imagine if like sometimes those penny slots have like fortune cookie.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Instead, you get to sing a song and follow. That'd be awesome. So I don't know, but you can answer that. Take my.
No, it's that actually the karaoke one is actually funny, but there's some slot machines now that there's a selfie camera.
Oh
so
my
it could like capture your
God.
face and you can actually be part of the game. So
So there's a
Tell
real.
them about all the new like virtual VR stuff.
Oh my
yeah, so
those
there's-
are too much for me.
yeah. it's
The
it's hard.
3D one too. It tripped me out. I
Yeah,
couldn't
so those
handle.
are there's these slot machines where you don't even have to touch anything. You're just like you make a motion of like a circle with your hand, or you can spin the reel just by like waving your finger in front of it. So there's all of these crazy like different technologies, and it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like it's super fascinating.
You know what it's gonna be next, right?
Santo Niño one?
You go like this, in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, press. No, but I'm imagining like with all the kind of movement in VR, you can now gamble and exercise at the same time. Imagine that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm giving you so much, Lynn.
Yeah.
Just,
When you
it's
come
gonna
work
be
for
good.
us.
Be like, hey, you can walk, get your steps in, and
Win
gamble and win money. But this is all like really fascinating, and I wanted to kind of bring it back to talking about Las Vegas. We all live in LA, and our industry historically has been Hollywood and acting, even though it's kind of different now. Has Las Vegas changed at all, you think, in terms of kind of like the industry that's here, or it's always been kind of hey, it's a gambling town, or this is kind of like where you go to either become a professional poker player or just to be in the hotel and entertainment industry?
I think the one overriding theme that we've talked about in terms of change is how the casinos make money. I think a lot of the revenue now is focused on entertainment rather than gambling revenue. If you look at the floors of the casinos, actually, they're getting a lot smaller now. And there are a lot of their revenues coming from restaurants, clubs, concerts, things like that. And slot machines are, I think it's like because older people tend to play slot machines, it's going to eventually
Oh, wow.
kind of die out. Because what young people do you know that play, are
Lane.
excited?
No, but that's a good point. We were just talking about kind of like the floor space historically. You build a casino to put as much slot machines in there as possible, but Las Vegas has really become they've been trying, at least for the last 15 10,
To be
15 years.
kid-friendly?
To be kid friendly,
Yeah.
to be more family friendly. And you know what happens after that is like, you know, you kind of have to, you know, sort of subsidize that with now you have to pay for parking in a lot of places.
I know. That's a real
Yeah.
killer that
Yeah.
locals even now have to pay for parking.
Yeah,
It's,
it sucks.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the Pusoy Dos tables to emerge.
He was a Pasoy Dust champion, weren't you, Joe?
Yeah. UC Santa Barbara.
Nice.
Is there anything that you can share with our listeners, like maybe a positive thing about your lifestyle in terms of like being a poker player or even like the gaming industry? You know, what's something like that you never thought would be a part of that lifestyle that you're saying to yourself, I like this part of it and I might continue it.
As a poker player, I think one of the coolest things is the wide range of people that you meet at the table. I don't think there's any other job where you can be playing with, you know, a doctor and
Right.
I don't know, whatever the
Right.
other person is, and then you get into conversations with a lot of guys that have cool stories about stuff. That's one thing that's really cool about it. The second thing that at a personal level is the freedom that it lets you
Right.
have. And now that having a baby, we're fortunate enough to like not have to pay for daycare,
Right.
because I can adjust my schedule to when
Nice.
I can play. So Lynn goes to work 9 to 5. I stay home. And watch our baby, and then when she comes home, I'll try to find hours throughout
Yeah.
the week. I don't play as much now because of the baby, but I'll find hours to play. Where if I had a normal job, you know, we'd have to find daycare, and that's an extra expense. And it's just like, so the freedom that it lets you have is really cool.
So you're not at the poker table with the baby in hand.
Big Bjorn, like in The Hangover.
And for Lynn, have you had any interest in poker playing at all? I imagine you play.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to play.
Yeah.
And my brother actually, they used to have a poker tournament like around his birthday,
Yeah.
and so my whole family knows how to
Yeah.
play. And I think most people get joy out of beating Mike at those home games. You know what I mean? Like, but you know, those home games, as Mike has mentioned before to me, that like those are the hardest to win because you can't predict what anybody does. So, but yeah, we've played in a tournament once before. So there is like a tournament, like a couples tournament that happened at Caesar's Palace or
around
something.
Valentine's Day.
Around Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
Cool.
So like I'll play for 30 minutes and then Mike will play for 30
kind of the
minutes.
switch
Same
up.
stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will never play poker ever again after that because it was just like, I don't know how you do this. And then I made a mistake and then we like lost like right before, like on the bubble, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like right before the money came and I felt so bad. And I was like, oh gosh, I could never do this ever again. And I've never played, other than that, I've never played at the casino. So
And kind of like a almost wrapping up question. You know, the poker industry at least is very male dominated. I know more and more women are coming to play now. Do you see that kind of like rise continue? With more vlogs out there or the availability, or do you think it's kind of like plateaued?
I think you see more, but the ceiling is pretty low. I believe. I just don't see it. I mean, being here now, whatever, 5-6 years, regular female players on the younger side.
Right.
In my player pool, there's like maybe 3 or 4 of them,
Yeah.
and then there's older ladies that are retired and they
Right.
just come to play recreationally.
Right.
But I really don't see a lot of newer women coming into play, which is unfortunate because
Yeah.
it just makes the fields bigger, it
Yeah.
makes the player pool bigger. And I think a lot of it has to do with how they're treated at the table.
Right.
I mean, that's a whole other
That's a whole other
issue,
podcast.
but yeah.
But, I totally get that because you know a lot of it's so testosterone driven, and sometimes the comments are just way off base
Wow.
at the table, and it's almost accepted just because you're sort of in a game, you know. So it's, but again, probably for another podcast. But any other questions, Joe?
No, we're good.
Yeah, we just want to say thank you for kind of giving us an insight. I have a ton more questions outside just for strategy.
No problem.
But so Mike and Lynn, thank you for joining our podcast, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know that Elaine, I was probably going to talk to you about some slot machines. She has some either ideas or she can want some of her money back. Again, this is Filipino American Life. We are signing off. Do we have any announcements or anything like that? No. I don't know. No.
No.
Thank you and bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
weren't you in a like spoken word art thing in college?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it called?
It was the 5-Star Arts Collective.
5 stars? 5 stars, like how I can rate our podcast, This Filipino American Life, on iTunes?
Yeah. Sure.
Have you rated our podcast on iTunes yet?
I haven't. Sorry.
What? What's,
I don't even subscribe. Sorry.
what? Oh my gosh, Ryan,
Blasphemy.
have you subscribed?
I have subscribed.
Have you rated us
I
on
have
iTunes?
not rated on
Maybe you
iTunes.
should do
I
that.
will do that.
I have a 5-star Converse.
Can you rate us on iTunes too, Joe?
Yeah, of course.
All right, cool.
Cool. So 5 stars, like how you rate your Lyft and Uber driver, 5 stars.
Sometimes.
So you should always rate them 5 stars.
Please rate us 5 stars because the more reviews we have, the more good reviews we have, we're gonna have more. It'll be easier for people to search us on iTunes.
Correct. And it's not like the only thing will come up is how to learn Tagalog.
Yeah. So far, if you Google or if you go on iTunes and search for Filipino, we are the third podcast that you find. We want to be number 1.
We're number 1. We're number 1.
We do not want to be behind how to learn Tagalog.
Oh no.
Oh, yes. So rate us 5 stars, like Mike's 5-star Arts Collective.
Or else I'll do some spoken word next time.
Oh, no.
No.
Please, with these brown hands, do not do spoken word. But give us 5 stars.
Thank you. Again, we're here in very sunny and very warm Las Vegas, Nevada.
Except this room.
Very cold.
Very cool.
In the For No Good Reason studios, provided to us by my godbrother Roland.
Thank you, Roland.
Thanks,
Thank you again,
Roland.
And we're here with some old friends. And we thought, when we were going to come out to Las Vegas, who we were going to talk to, and what we were going to talk about. And the first thing that popped into my mind was like, well, who do we know out here, right? And I had a couple of friends and family actually move out to Las Vegas, for different reasons. And either because they're retiring or because they're, trying to find a job or whatever it is. But I mean, we've talked about this in some of the other episodes that we've recorded out here, but there's been this whole kind of migration of Filipinos into Las Vegas for quite some time now. Mm-hmm. And so we thought, why not talk to one of our friends who has done that himself? Someone that me and Elaine knew back in college, our friend Carl Araneta. You want to introduce yourself, Carl?
Hey, yo, this is Carl Araneta.
So a little backstory. Me and Elaine went to UC Irvine way long time ago. I'm not going to say the years, but Carl was someone who was one of our friends. We all ran in kind of some same social circles, and I knew Carl because I used to hang out at the radio station KUCI. And Carl, along with our friend Greg, used to host a radio show. What was it called again?
Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspects. And I didn't realize this at the time, but Carl is originally from the San Fernando Valley, and so he knew a lot of the hip hop heads from that area too.
818.
Canova Park.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh man. We're all 818.
Except for me.
818.
Don't hate.
So yeah, we graduated a long time ago. We all went to kind of do our own things. And, a lot of us, we kind of kept in touch, kind of not kept in touch. You have Facebook that kind of keeps us in touch. But at one point, we realized, Carl was leaving us and moved out to Las Vegas. So, and kind of watching that journey from afar and kind of seeing the things that he started getting into, I thought it would be really great to just have him here and kind of just talk about that. So, Carl, long intro and long way to say, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good. Nice to see you.
So, yeah, what brought you out here?
Man, that is a good question, and it's been a long journey. I think probably the major reason why I came out here was to kind of
retire,
put myself.
right?
Yeah, I tried to. I actually really did. I mean, I left a long career of probably 8 years in higher education, And I kind of just put myself out in, outside of my comfort zone and just kind of try to find myself out here and do a couple different things. Specifically why I came out here though is I had an investment property, out here in Las Vegas. And in addition to that, my parents moved out here back in 2004, like a year after I graduated from college. And I just kind of wanted to spend more time with them because they retired out here, and I pretty much just saw them on holidays and whenever they'd visit us in California.
Nice.
So yeah, you're originally from the Valley, but your parents decided to retire out here. And so what drew them here as a place to retire to in the first place?
Honestly, I don't know the details of that. I would say that, I'm the baby bunso of the family, right? I have two older sisters. So basically, when I graduated from UC Irvine, they were like, "All right, alas, we can retire. Let's pack up our bags and let's just move.
We're gonna leave the hot San Fernando Valley for the hot
Let's go
Las Vegas.
let's go for hotter, man." And they just moved over to another valley. They consider it the valley out here too. So I think, aside from me graduating and knowing that we can all kind of take care of ourselves, they also were like, let's try something new. Let's try something different. And then it's just a plus that everything's just so affordable out here.
Yeah. Affordability.
I know.
Yeah. That's like an elusive dream now for a lot of people in the coast cities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Vegas actually represents like the continuation of like the dream to have like a affordable house, car, live in the suburbs.
But you shouldn't have
Open
a lawn.
space.
Yeah, shit can't have a lawn.
You can have a bunch of rocks.
That seems better because lawns are not natural here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, you said you were working in education, higher education, right?
Yeah.
And is that the reason why you came out here too, or?
No, not at all. I'm not doing higher education right now. I think I was looking for a change of pace. I was basically the executive director of annual and special giving at Cal State Long Beach. I was doing fundraising. It was a really good career and probably a safe career to stay in. I was pretty young for the position that I was able to get into. But I graduated from business school at Cal State Long Beach. I got my MBA. Also at that time, we just went through the whole real estate bubble, and when stuff like that happens, the first thing that people cut back on are donations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could get pretty stressful because in fundraising, you kind of like live and die by those numbers, especially when, you go higher up in the positions. So that was probably a little stressful. But aside from that, graduating from business school, I kind of want to go into the private sector and try a few different things. So I literally went through a bunch of odd jobs and did all kinds of different things. And right now I'm doing marketing and design in the corporate world.
Well, and then one of the other things that you're doing, and one of the things we wanted to talk about today, is your involvement with mixed martial arts, MMA, and your brand even that you've been kind of developing. And again, like watching this all from Facebook and kind of seeing kind of the jack of all trades that you've always been and that you've definitely become out here. I think MMA was one of the last things that I thought of you getting involved in. So why don't you tell us about, what brought you even to that world?
Not that we're
the
saying
journey.
you're not a fighter or anything.
I'm not.
But it was a surprise to see it on Facebook that you were announcing that you were training for a fight. And I remember talking to Mike what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah. It's good to hear that from you guys because really, I think I shocked a lot of people because I was, containing my personality to be professional and, the people on Facebook that were following me came from, the higher education world. And, I kind of kept a lot of my...
Kept the suit and tie of the demeanor. I kept the suit and
tie look at work and I kept all my private stuff at home. And then as soon as I decided to leave, I was like, here I come, guys. I'm just going to let you guys know what I'm all about.
Punching people in the face.
Grappling.
That's what I really want to do, right?
Yeah, man. Hip hop and martial arts are probably the two big things I had in my life. I did karate and taekwondo since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of Filipino stick fighting. I heard your guys'
the martial
podcast
arts,
on that.
Yay.
I did a little bit of Muay Thai, and then, I kind of stopped a lot of that because I was going to school and, just trying to do that. I tried to get back into Muay Thai a few times while I was in California, but, it's kind of hard. I was working full time, and I was also going to business school. And then after I graduated business school, I went to Brazilian Top Team. I signed up with them. They're in Long Beach. And I started my Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai journey, right? And then when I left California and I moved out here, I continued that. And one of the big things in California is that I have a whole lifestyle, right? That's the California lifestyle that you all live, that I used to live. And I had all my friends and we're on the same grind. And when I moved out here, it was just like, it's just me, my parents, and, I got to meet people. But at the time when I first came out here, I didn't know anyone. And one of the only things that really stuck was going to jiu-jitsu. So I went to train, and these guys became my family, and I ended up going there
And
every day.
There? Where is there?
Cobra Kai.
So what
Cobra Kai.
So where is Cobra
CKJJ all day.
Kai?
North Hollywood, isn't it?
Sweep the
No,
leg.
dude. Cobra Kai is in Reseda.
Sweep the leg.
No, but the actual filming location was in North Hollywood.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nerd Valley. Okay, but Cobra Kai, where is it here in Las Vegas?
Good question. Right now, the headquarters it's actually kind of here more towards the downtown area. It's actually right across Cheetah's, the strip club.
Is that
I'm sorry, what?
You guys probably
Yeah.
saw
Isn't
that when you're
that
going
like-
down the 15.
Where Ryan was last night.
Hey,
right?
hey, hey.
Is that affiliated
Lots of jokes.
with Cheetahs in Los Feliz?
I have
Cheetah's
no idea,
Hollywood?
but
Cheetah's
it's
Hollywood.
It's very possible.
God, the things that Elaine knows, seriously,
What? I'm just saying.
But it's pretty much right off the 15 on Sahara. I mean, you
Okay.
kind of have to go into the industrial area, but that's where their headquarters is. They've been growing, so they have a new location, which is located on Sunset on the western side of Las Vegas.
Oh.
So, yeah.
So have you fought yet?
I had 2 amateur fights. Yeah.
How'd that
I
go?
mean, I did a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments, but in terms of MMA, I did 2 amateur fights. I have 1 win, I have 1 loss, and
So you're
I wish I
50%.
could- Yeah, 50%. Yeah, I kind of left on a losing end, and I really did actually want to get back in, and I was still training, and then I've recently had my son though, and because of that, my
Congratulations.
priorities have kind
Yeah.
of changed a little bit.
You can always, train your son. You could practice arm bars on him.
I do. Actually, literally before we came here, my sister's here in the audience.
Kathy, I've known Kathy since I was 14.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, the Valley.
Yeah.
Look at it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing you, Carl, and you had the best bangs ever.
Okay, can we put a photo of the bangs in our blog?
No, I remember.
I no longer have these.
Because back in the day, we all had long bangs and we slicked it back. And
I used to have bangs.
Yeah.
Now I have nothing.
I mean,
I got the same haircut, bro.
yeah, dude, it's the best haircut ever now.
You mean
So
bald?
fresh.
Yeah.
Bald.
Anyways, I digress.
What was it? Oh yeah, your son. And
Oh
your-
yeah. Oh well, before we got here, I was my sister came over so that we could carpool, and my son was there, and we were trying to encourage him to do a little bit of Muay Thai. But yeah, man, I do a little bit of Muay Thai. I bought him boxing gloves and everything.
Nice.
He's got this toy bin, and he's got Muay Thai pads and gloves and
So
all these
cool.
different types
Does he
of things.
have
So I'm
that
trying to
cool
encourage him to do that.
crown thing that they put on when?
Oh
when
no,
you
I
fight?
haven't went that far to buy him those yet. I'm trying to get him to fall into it. If he's really into it, then we'll go all out. We'll get everything.
Get him the cool shorts with all the Thai stuff on
Yeah.
it. I don't even know what it means, but yeah.
So earlier when you were talking about coming out here and all you had was your parents and you didn't really know anybody out here and you kind of gravitated back towards the martial arts and things like that. I mean, was there a Filipino community within that, or was it hard to kind of connect with the Filipino community at first, or do you feel connected to it at all here, having come from originally from the LA Filipino community?
That's a really good question. In terms of an organized Filipino community, I don't feel like I'm necessarily connected to that, like any official Filipino association or anything like that. But, you know, you read in the news that Las Vegas and Nevada in general had an explosion in terms of Filipino growth. And because of that, you know, it is apparent you see Filipinos everywhere. So specifically when we're talking about my journey here into Las Vegas, the Cobra Kai Jiu-Jitsu was a huge part of my experience here, and it's actually owned by a Filipino American.
Ooh, what are their names? Who shut them up?
The head instructor and owner is Simpson Go. Short, it's Sim Go. And his dad is very involved. It's a totally like a family experience. When you go there, you'll see his dad up in the front. His name is Sam Go, and he's actually from Iloilo.
Oh wow!
Oh wow, Mike, it's your cousin.
It's like my fam. Yeah, we
Totally
related.
your cousins.
Oh, and Mike, I don't know if you remember, but my dad's from there too. So it's very rare for us.
So
to
you
find
and Mike are
from
cousins.
Iloilo. Pretty much, probably.
Iloilo fam out here, you know.
So there's Sim Go,
Sim and Sam Go.
Sam Go.
Waiting for the joke.
Is there Stop and Go?
I was like, it's coming.
Yeah, there's definitely a stop and go.
He saw it in Joe's like eyes. It's like, oh man, it's brewing. Oh.
Curly is rolling her eyes at you.
That's my labis.
So you're not fighting anymore. How long ago was that? The last time that you fought?
It was literally right before my son was born. My last fight was in 2014.
Okay, so a couple of years.
Oh
ago.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, he's like, that means he's going to be 4. He's totally ready to
Oh.
get in the ring.
Oh, so let's see. He was born in 2015 or 16.
Ay, nako, you don't know.
It's
Just like every good parent.
November 30, 2015.
So
which
he's
is
2.
November
Joe, can you
Perfectly
please
fine.
fact check that?
About 2.5.
November 30 is actually Andres Bonifacio Day.
Oh.
He was born November
Nice.
30.
Thanks, Joe.
Good job, historian.
Factoid.
But bottom line, when is he going to be fighting? That's the
Yeah.
only thing I care about. Just kidding.
You know, I'm slowly trying to get him interested in it, and in my head I'm thinking probably 4 years old will be when he officially joins. But right now, I mean, we have everything at home, man. We have like a home gym set up. We've got mats.
awesome.
We've got all the gloves. We've got the pads. We have like punching bags and speed bags. Yeah, we have like literally a gym at home. So I'm trying to train him to get him ready.
Do you learn?
I won't force him if he's not into it though.
Do you learn to take bumps when you're doing jujitsu training?
What kind of bumps?
Oh, never mind. That was totally a wrestling term. Sorry.
Oh god.
I
This is not a Balut Club episode. Sorry.
No, but it's like because you have to fall. So like,
yeah, yeah.
so you
Oh,
learn,
that's what you
so you learn how to fall safely. So apparently you're supposed to like tuck your chin, or I don't know. I have no idea what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
there's a lot of training for that.
For like
because
how
there's
to
a lot of
properly
that
fall,
stuff
so
going
you are
on.
safe, so you're not like injuring yourself.
Yes, correct. I mean, in jiu-jitsu, it's a lot of being on the ground,
grappling, right?
but judo and wrestling is heavily involved in that. It's very, relevant. A lot of people that do jiu-jitsu will also cross-train in judo and wrestling because there's a lot of takedowns. And when you
Yeah.
do the takedowns, that's when you get tossed and thrown. So
Yeah.
it's really a good idea
You should know how
to
to,
know how to do
take
that
a
so you don't
throw,
get
or
injured.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, because you could get messed up from those things.
Can I ask a kind of like a maybe silly question, but does it hurt?
Falling?
Well, just like being in the ring and like there's the adrenaline, I imagine is there, but like, you're getting
The shit
Kick
kicked
and-
out of you.
punched and then also like recovery time. I don't know. Like, have you ever broken a nose or something like that?
No. I've been really fortunate.
Not good.
Not good. For sure.
Yeah, I haven't had any major injuries at all. Very, very fortunate because I train with a lot of people that get injured all the time. What I would say, like everyone has different pain thresholds.
Sure.
I mean, we've me and my sister were doing the martial arts since we were 5. We competed and got kicked in the face and punched a lot.
Oh my god.
So for me, like especially during competition, I don't think that it hurts as much. It's because of the adrenaline. I think the hardest part is the training part. I mean, you're training, you're working, you're aching, you're sore.
do
You're
they
trying
do
to
the
recover.
thing where they like have the little like a screaming stick and then just hitting you in the torso to numb your.
That's a Pacquiao thing.
No, but I've seen it in other training videos that like they're just like
Is
hitting.
this called Rocky 4?
Do you have to climb the big mountain in Russia?
Yes, and then you like bench press a giant
Wagon?
Did you lift a little cult?
So we're basically describing Rocky 4.
No, not so much of that. I mean, I wouldn't say a lot of the collie stick stuff, but I mean, everyone has their own training regimen. So we did have different instructors while we were growing up that kind of, you know, do little things to hit you to kind of get you like ready for that type of stuff. But most of the time that's, you know, not as hardcore as they put it in the movies.
Oh, because it's child abuse.
Yeah, probably.
Because I'm like, you're training when you're like, you said you're 5, and I'm like, I can imagine hitting a child is child abuse.
Yeah, I mean, it did. Like when we were growing up, it was kind of scary. But you know, in hindsight, they were probably really.
It was the
controlled.
80s. They didn't care.
Yeah, probably that too.
So, Tumble 818.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been training, you and your sister, and I don't know, Charmaine has too, but
Charmaine did a little bit also.
So
yeah,
your parents have been, bringing you to train martial arts since you were kids. How did they react when you said you wanted to try to do MMA, like not professionally, but like get in actual fights, in the ring?
I want to throw in there too. Also, my dad did a little bit of Filipino stick fighting too, by the way. But my mom never wanted to watch me compete ever. She had when we were kids, but she never really wanted to watch that. My dad was a little bit more supportive because he's kind of got like a little bit of machismo to him. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, like
shit,
be a man, you can do it. I understand why you're doing it, you know, but my mom was more like, why are you doing this? You're old, you're a professional man. What are you doing? And, you know, like I've had tons of relatives kind of, you know, chime in with their thoughts. And one of my uncles that was just here earlier this week from Iloilo, he's just like visiting, but maybe a year or two ago, he's like, what are you doing, man? Like, it's not in our genes. We're not athletes. And I'm like, I'm going to show you, man. I'm an athlete, man. Speak for yourself.
What a hater.
Yeah. No, it's totally cool though, but yeah.
Nice.
So you're taking a break from it. You're raising your son. But one of the things you mentioned earlier too is that you work in kind of marketing and I mentioned earlier too that you have your own brand kind of related to your MMA experiences, right?
Yeah.
What is that?
Thanks for allowing me to speak of this. I'm wearing the hat right now.
Oh, nice.
One of my shirts right here. But Ten Braves is like my passion project, and it definitely did stem a lot from being at Cobra Kai. So when you speak of marketing and design, I do corporate marketing and design, and I do freelance stuff on the side. And I ended up doing a lot of the design and marketing stuff for Cobra Kai Jiu-Jitsu. Like I did their website when I first came here like 7 years ago, and then I did a redesign for their website now. I do a lot of their, photography work or basically whatever they need, flyers, advertise, like internet advertising. And I did, some of their uniforms earlier, like maybe a couple of years ago. I did their uniforms, and then eventually, I was doing the MMA thing. I was competing. I wanted to compete more. I was looking for sponsors. Eventually, I said, I'm going to sponsor myself.
There you go.
Or sponsor the people that I want to sponsor. And I thought it would be a good combination of things because, when I knew you guys, I was doing Fresh Off the Beats.
Yeah.
So I was
it sounds like you're doing like similar stuff.
yeah,
for yourself now.
Those are the things that I really miss those days, but
Fresh Off the Beats was what, Mike?
What?
What was Fresh Off the Beats?
Off the Beats.
I don't know. I mean, Fresh Off the Beats was basically like a hip hop collective at Irvine, right? We had DJs and
Fresh Off the
B-boys and
Beats.
everything else.
Yes.
I mean, we all had kind of our little crews. I mean, it was Fresh Off the Beach, which was Carl. And we had like 5 Star Arts Collective, which was me and a bunch of my friends doing poetry.
But
and
Fresh
stuff.
Off the Beats used to throw hip hop parties at Irvine. They would throw parties. Yeah.
You just came from the ocean? Fresh off the beach.
Oh my gosh, Joe. Oh, Joe.
Anyways.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
that's that.
Whatever.
Okay, cool.
Someone out there is laughing. Someone out there is laughing.
FOB crew.
FOB crew.
FOB. Bob for life. But yeah, so that was like my thing. Like I said earlier, like hip hop and martial arts were a big part of my life. So part of the hip hop thing though was, having that street / funky style, right?
Yeah.
So I was like totally into wearing the cool clothes and all this and that. So I had that street style, and then we were doing the martial arts and things like that, and I'm doing design, and I'm like, let me just put all these things together. And create my passion project, which is like essentially a street brand, but it's focused on the jiu-jitsu community, and there's a huge exploding jiu-jitsu community right now. That's what Ten Braves is.
Is there a specific like style of street brand that's here in Vegas, or anything unique? Like your shirt right now says, what's it say? Brave Las Vegas. Stay Brave Las Vegas.
Stay Brave Las Vegas.
I like that. That's dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, are there more kind of like Vegas style type of brands out there?
I'm kind of coming up blank right now. I don't remember the name, but there are a couple street brands out here that are trying to do their thing.
I only can think of like TMT. Like that's the thing that I see everywhere. That's the money team. It's basically like Floyd Mayweather stuff. I know. It's really annoying to see.
How dare you?
On this podcast?
I mean, but that's the only thing I see. It's really annoying.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, in terms of like street though, you gotta forgive me. I haven't gotten that deep into like Vegas made Vegas.
But like streetwear is kind of like that whole culture is like up and down, and it's like,
dude, it's hard and it's fully saturated, and that's why I didn't want to just go in there and be like, oh, I'm going to create this hip hop brand and try to market it to the world. I'm like,
because it's I'm not going to do that. Like Crooks and Castles, their shop.
Crooks and Castles.
Crooks and Castles.
Broadcast.
I get that. They closed up their brick and mortar in Fairfax. It's no longer there. No. It's been gone for like at least a year and a half.
Oh, it's expensive rent down there too.
Yeah, but like streetwear brands, they just go up and down.
Wow,
so.
I didn't know that.
I think retail in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's like focused on like you're focusing on the jiu-jitsu community. Like it's niche, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I was totally in the jiu-jitsu community, and it just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, if I create stuff that I'm going to wear anyway, and I know I got a few friends out there that might want to wear the same type of stuff.
Yeah.
No
Might
harm
well.
in it. And it's been kind of growing. It's been going for probably 3 years now.
That's awesome.
Over 3 years now.
So what has the response been from the jiu-jitsu community and I guess the community in general about, Ten Braves?
It's just like it's not like a huge thing right now, but it's, a small up and coming local brand. At first I got a lot of support that mostly came from my Cobra Kai Jiu-Jitsu brothers, you know what I mean? And that's, I was just making gear for me and my fellow teammates.
Yeah.
And then later, eventually, it's less about my team members, and I created my website and everything, and people are just buying stuff from all over the U.S.
Because I guess you want to wear something. I'm sure. That Under Armour tap out gear is all fine and dandy, but sometimes you want to wear not a dry fit shirt.
Yeah.
You want to wear something else.
Sando.
And that's
like an awesome sando.
That's a huge reason why, actually. I mean, there are some really dope jiu-jitsu brands, like not just, like even if you're not into jiu-jitsu, you'll look at it and you'll be like, dude, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's some cool brands out there, but most of the time people think of Tap Out and Affliction, and no hate towards the people that are into that and those particular brand owners, but that just didn't fit me.
Yeah.
I came from that fresh off the beats Urban Outfitter.
You didn't want
I don't want
to
to throw that out, but you know what I mean. Like,
you didn't want a
it's
shirt with like Affliction and like Old English or whatever font it is, and
Old
like,
English.
you know what I mean, like that where there's like a tiger.
Yeah.
What else is those?
Probably not that specifically. But,
Would you say that it's hip hop informed in a way too? Then
definitely. I mean, I try. I was trying to bring this other shirt. It's my favorite shirt. That I created, and it says "Protect Your Neck."
Oh, cool!
I want that shirt.
I want that shirt.
That's one of the most popular ones. But I try to tie hip hop into it somehow. That's one of the most popular ones. But it's
then Ghostface is gonna wear it.
Are you connected at all to the hip hop scene here in Vegas?
I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily connected or deep into it, but definitely when I first came here and, I didn't know anyone. So I was literally throwing myself out there and trying to see what sticks. I did go out into the hip hop community. I actually DJ'd, at least once downstairs at, was the coffee house. That's like a bookstore also. I don't know if it's still there.
Oh,
it's
wow.
I remember.
Moda?
No. Yo, that place has the best sisig ever, though. And I've been
I
wanting
keep
to go
hearing
there.
that.
We should have gone.
I've been wanting to go there, but I can't bring my son because they be smoking in there. It's totally the Philippines, man.
Right? We should have gone.
It's a Filipino nightclub, man. I'm telling you. But the sisig is the bomb over there.
Cafe Moda. I've had
All
a
right, maybe we'll go tonight.
But yeah, I try to get a little bit into the hip hop community, but there's already like their own networks, their own community, and that's just one of those things that didn't stick. I do have a couple friends that are in it, still doing it though, and it's pretty cool.
nice.
So, as someone who's gone through many different kind of phases, what's next for you out here?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because, I really wasn't supposed to be here that long, and the next thing you know, 7 years passed by. I'm actually getting married next month.
Congratulations.
Getting married to Samantha. And we
Here in
have
Vegas?
yeah. Oh no, it's actually going to be in Long Beach. Yeah,
okay.
I'm trying to bring it back and celebrate with all my people. I really miss California actually. But we have our 2.5-year-old son Jameson. And a lot of what I'm doing right now is just making sure that they have everything that they need to succeed. And, I really do want to move back to California, but it is so expensive.
Yeah.
And out here, we're living in a 4-bedroom house. Out there, I don't know, we'd probably be in a studio.
For $20,000.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, and we'll see what happens because I didn't know that Kathy was gonna come out here, and she came out here in like 2 years ago, and it's just been amazing. Like her daughters are here, and one of them is pretty much the same age as my son, so it's just
Oh,
kind
they
of
grow up together.
we're really doing the family thing right now.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I think it's cool that your family is out here. That's a pretty beneficial.
Yeah, and we've
thing.
got a bunch of aunts out here and everything. So
They all moved out here too?
cool. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What do they do? Just curious.
Retired. or-
They hang out. They hang out
Retired.
together. Yeah, most of them are retired. Most of them.
They hang out at
And,
Cafe Moda.
No, interestingly enough, they don't. I brought it up to them. I said, "Hey, you might want to try it." But, my mom is just out here, and she came from a family of like 17.
Jeez, wow.
So she's got like maybe like 4 or 5 siblings out here. So she's kind of busy hanging out
Yeah.
with them. My dad comes from a family of 3, and he's the only one out here. But for him, he got into bowling.
Nice. Is he in a tournament in a league?
Yeah, he's in like 2 leagues. He's like
Is he a
bowling like all the time.
semi-professional bowler?
No, that's the funny thing is he wasn't like huge into bowling when we were kids, but he's
Now
been
he is?
all about it out here.
My coworker is registered with the Bowling Association of America, and she does
Crazy.
bowling tournaments. So she's like a semi-pro bowler, and there's major money in these things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
What their bowling team name?
Oh shoot, I don't know. I never really asked the name.
I bet he's
but-
always at the
come up
Gold
with
Coast then, right? Because there's a bowling alley at the
Gold Coast is one of them. That's for sure.
Is she the president of the Filipino American Bowling Association of Greater Las Vegas and vicinity?
Oh my God! Just make that shirt for him. He is.
That's her next shirt idea right there.
Or like a barangay vest.
I did actually
Yes.
make him a bowling shirt before. Yeah.
That's cool.
So we're coming up on our time, but before we close, is there anything that you want to plug about maybe the website for Ten Braves or anything else that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, sure. If you can support, the website is tenbraves.com. If not purchasing things, you can also support just by following on Facebook and Instagram. Of course, a big shout out to Cobra Kai Jiu-Jitsu. Again, it's Filipino owned. I don't know the statistics, but there's tons of Filipinos and Hawaiians in the joint. And besides that, man, I just love everybody over there.
Nice.
And then I also want to give a shout out to Kadan, aka Pa'amano Eskrima. They're out there in California, but I trained with them a long time ago as well. I mean, they're the ones that got me into Taekwondo. And yeah, just this is a really cool thing I think that you guys are doing. And
Cool.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Yeah, you listen to us. Cool.
Like I don't even listen to us. You know?
Mike's lying. He does.
Shout out to Kathy Araneta, who's sitting right there, but was too shy to be on the mic.
Say hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
And
That's what she'll get.
Mark Delphin, who's at home taking care of their kids.
Wow, you know everything.
That's what she said.
Like,
Wow.
She said that in the beginning.
just say it.
No, but thank you, Carl, for sitting in with us and telling us your story. I mean, I think there's probably gonna be a whole book about the experience of like Filipinos just coming to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Kind of that experience of like, you know, creating community and finding community. But thank you for sharing your experience and doing that. So
Thank you.
all right.
All right, and with that,
That's a wrap.
that's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
This Filipino American Life is produced by Michael Nailat. Our intro and outro music is by Roger Habon, aka 10.4 Raj. Resident reality checker Girly Colado, legal advisor Rianne Fajardo, and graphic design by Vincent Collyer.